journey at Viewpoint this morning with personalities, politicians, and perspectives. And again, we have a personality and perspective this morning, and that's kind of neat to have this young lady with us. As we always try to start the Viewpoint program with some sort of a kudo, Jill, for somebody in the community or individual or organizations and so forth. So I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Busby and let her espouse what her kudo is this morning.
Yeah. Well, on Monday, the group here, that's the low vision group, has their meetings once a month and has a guest speaker. And on Monday they had John Cornell from DeKalb, Illinois. He travels in behalf of the Foundation Fighting Blindness. John is an attorney at law practicing, and
Local boy.
And his mother, Bev Anderson and Dean Anderson, live here in Lincoln, and John's totally blind, and he's just absolutely, he's a miracle, isn't he, Bill?
Yes, really. It was a joy to have him on the air here several months now, not weeks. Golly, it goes in such a hurry. But he was here, and Jean goes to that group since she has those problems, and she just waxed ecstatic about his presentation and so forth, and used the word erudite. Some of us can't even spell that, but she said John just did a wonderful job for that, and very helpful to those folks who have visual impairments.
Very much
and
so.
Until you walk those moccasins, you just don't know. So we're really glad to have had John here this morning.
Do you think it would be appropriate for me to tell a Shaggy Dog story?
Well, let me see you talk to the station engineer and manager to, will this pass the Hayes office? Yes, you'll go right ahead.
Okay, so I had this dog that's not got much redeeming social value, actually. His name is Murphy. And, of course, Bill and I live next door to one another, and Bill and Murphy get along famously. And the other day, it's been hotter than Hades' pup out, right? Okay, so Murphy wants to go outdoors, and as soon as he's outdoors, he wants to come indoors, and vice versa. So he was out, and I was letting him in, and he just stood there in the doorway. I was holding 2 doors open for him, so I took the side of my foot and pushed his back in toward the kitchen.
Just encouraging him.
Encouraging him so that we should both get in out of the heat. And he turned around and looked at me, turned on his heels, all 4 of them, walked down the stairs, around the corner of the garage, over to Bill's gate, and I called him, and he wouldn't come. He was running away from home because he'd been abused, and I had to go over and pick him up and carry him home. It's just a good thing he wasn't a Great Dane or something.
You got him home, that's for sure.
Yeah. Now, isn't that, there's some thought process there. He was torqued, and he was going to greener pastures.
Perhaps we'll explain to Jill that several days during the week when Judith works, and I just kind of think it's kind of too bad for old Murph to be in the house alone, so I go get him, and we go to walk, then we take him home. And me and our dog they just kind of ignore one another. But Murphy spends a lot of time at our house, so that's why he was running home.
And obviously they're nicer to him than I am.
Well, before we get into serious business here, went last night down to the Springfield Airport, Capital Airport, to welcome the honor flight home. Boy, they had a nice crowd down there. Really, a very, very nice crowd down there. And once again, we talked last week about my experience going north, and a fellow, total stranger, picking up the check for us at lunch or dinner. And so last night we're standing in line to get a cup of coffee and a cookie, and interchange between the lady ahead of us and her party and so forth. Well, by Jove, we got done. It came time to pay, and she paid for us, Richard and Mary Ellen and myself, and went on her merry way, just anonymously. Picked up.
Wow. That's nice.
It kind of restores your faith, once in a while, people do nice things, and it's really neat to have that happen. Speaking of nice things, we have a really nice thing up here, just a few miles, very short few miles up the road here at Funk's Grove. It's Sugar Grove Nature Conservancy. Would that be
Sugar Grove Nature Center? Yes.
Nature Center. It's a neat little place.
Oh yeah.
Been up there, and we've had a representative here before talking about that, Angela.
Angela Funk. Yes.
Yes, and we've enjoyed that. But we like to talk about that here on this station because it's close. It's here at home. It offers, particularly the young folks in our community, a place to go to find out more about nature. And so,
Absolutely.
With no further ado, I'm going to ask Judy to make an official introduction. We have a call here already, folks.
If you, Jill, if you'd pick up those
hang on.
earphones and put
Hang
one by
on,
your
please.
ear.
1 minute.
Okay.
Judy and I will share this headset.
Okay.
Yes, go right ahead, caller.
Hey, I would like to put a huge kudo out to you, Mr. Gossett. I was at that honor flight last night, and I watched you. Not that I was a stalker or anything like that, but it was noticed that you reached out to every one of those vets that came through that line last night and either shook their hand or placed a hand on them, talked to every one of them, and I just want to say how proud I was to see you there last night and what you did for those vets.
Well, thank you very, very much. That's very humbling. You know, I feel an obligation to go there. That was done for me. I went on that flight in September of 11, and it's just a magnificent thing that these folks do for these veterans. And I noted, just in passing, thank you very much for that. I really appreciate that. There were 80, some of them, and by God, I had about half of them in wheelchairs. That tells you that time's done its job.
Yes,
So,
it has.
Yeah, well, I sure appreciate those comments, and I thank you very, very much, sir.
Thank you, and keep
Yeah.
it up.
Yeah, have a good day. Thank you, sir. That's very, very nice.
That is nice.
Yes. Now, okay, that brought a tear to my eye.
Well, I brought a tear to my eye, too.
Why don't you introduce formally introduce our guest here
Okay,
this morning?
okay,
That was
Jill.
a very nice call. I really appreciate that.
Both of us appreciate that. Jill Wallace is the environmental educator up at the Sugar Grove Nature Center.
Yes.
And a friend of mine, Jill, was up there, I think last weekend. At any rate, they were talking about the hummingbirds and the butterflies.
Oh yes.
And
Yes.
if
Our
you-
Hummingbird Festival.
Yes. If you read in
Don't tell me there's anything going on between the hummingbirds and the butterflies.
It's happening, Bill. It's happening.
Boy,
Don't you know?
I've been hiding.
At any rate, if you look at the Smithsonian or anything, you see that, for instance, the monarchs are in trouble.
Oh yes. Yes, they're
And
having a difficult time.
People have said that they didn't think they had the amount of hummingbirds this year that they generally have, and so forth. Of course, our weather is just bonkers. It's just a crazy business here. We're in
Yeah.
our second year of drought, and it's been good, plenty warm. I've not taken a chill for quite a while. And I'm sure that they don't like that too much either, do they?
No, I'm sure they do not.
But how did your Hummingbird Festival go?
Well, the festival itself just went fantastic. Everyone had a great time. We had a lot of things going on. We've planted a Monarch Way station, which is a garden that's specifically designed to attract monarchs and other pollinators to the area, give them a place to have some nectar, get some rest before they go on their way. And we had fabulous attendance, a lot of people learning about butterflies, learning about hummingbirds, learning about bees. As far as we had a licensed person come and trap and tag the hummingbirds, and we had a low number for actual catches. We only caught 3 this year, whereas in previous years we've caught 17. Our biggest year was 35. This year there were only 3, and I think that had just a lot to do with the heat. It was a very hot day. We actually have a whole lot more hummingbirds buzzing around right now than we did last weekend.
Tell me, may I interject a question here?
Sure.
Oh, gosh.
How does
yes.
one catch a hummingbird?
Yeah, really.
Put a little water on your hand, say, "Here, bird."
You got to be very quick.
Yeah, really. Quick hand.
No,
wow.
what we do, well, throughout the year, throughout the summer, we have lots of hummingbird feeders, and they're put all over our grounds. And as the date of the Hummingbird Festival approaches, we start taking the ones down that are further out to try to concentrate them in one area. And so by Hummingbird Festival Day, we have basically just a couple of feeders. One of them is inside a trap with a remote control door. So there's a person kind of sitting off to the side with a little button. So when the hummingbird goes in to get a drink, they close the door. And then it's trapped, yes.
Yeah, really.
And the person that handles it, he's licensed. His name is McLean, and so he knows exactly what he's doing. He handles them very gently, but he takes them out. He weighs them. He measures them, and he gives them a little bitty bracelet on their leg.
On their little bitty leg.
On their little bitty leg.
No.
It's got a number on it, and that's recorded. And so anytime that hummingbird is caught anywhere, it can be traced back to us. Yes.
Now, when they come north for the summertime, where do they most often congregate? The reason I ask is, in northern Minnesota, I seem to think that we have a lot more concentration of hummingbirds than here. Do they go farther north for the most part?
Well, they actually, they are pretty much all over the eastern United States, and so I'm not sure if there's any one particular area where there are more than others, but they've got a big distribution area. So
Do most of them go to Mexico?
yeah, or South or Central America.
Central America as well. Do they have to have visas to get in
Oh,
and
you've
out?
got a call, Bill.
Got a call.
Another call. All right. Well, thank you very much. Get the headset adjusted here. Yes, go right ahead, caller.
Hi, I was just saying I love Sugar Grove. It's really pretty. I was wondering if you had weddings there.
Oh, unfortunately, we do not host weddings or wedding receptions at the Nature Center. They do, however, host beautiful weddings up at the Funks Grove Chapel and Chapel of the Templed Trees, which is just up the road from us.
And which is the outdoor event or venue?
It's actually, they have both the Chapel of the Templed Trees, that is the outdoor event or venue, and then they also have the church. When you book it, you actually get both locations for the same price. That way, if it's raining, you can move into the church, and then also, there won't be a competing wedding at the same time as yours.
Okay, thank you.
Sure, no problem.
Thank you for calling. That's an interesting call.
That's a neat
As a matter of fact.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Yeah,
Gorgeous.
that would be a great place
Yes.
to have.
Next
now,
month.
I heard that in order to attract the butterflies, you plant milkweed that
Well-
everybody tries to get rid of.
Well, milkweed is, while a lot of butterflies will be attracted to the flowers of the milkweed for the nectar to drink, milkweeds are specific for the monarch butterfly because that's the only plant that they will lay their eggs on. The caterpillars will then eat the milkweed plant, and the milkweed plant has a bit of a toxin in it that it tastes really bad, and it makes the caterpillars taste very bad. So that way, if a bird tries to eat,
Nature-preserving nature.
yeah,
See,
so
isn't
might
that a
try to eat
miracle?
one, but it's not going to eat another.
Serious.
See, isn't that neat? Now, if we don't mess around then with Mother Nature, things work pretty well, don't they?
Yeah,
God
yes,
figured it out.
Yes, and there are a lot of milkweed plants that aren't the common milkweed that a lot of people dislike. I personally love the common milkweed. I've got a lot of it in my yard because it's so easy to grow. It just grows on its own. But there are so many different kinds of milkweed that are in different colors, just kind of different shapes, different sizes.
if you wanted to cultivate milkweed, where in the world would you get it?
Well, actually, yeah, and that's a really good question, and we have, a lot of people have been asking that, especially with all the extra publicity about the Monarch Butterflies this year. And you can get it from, if you see a milkweed plant, you can get seeds. The seeds are inside of pods in the fall. Of course, you would have to ask permission of a landowner. You wouldn't walk into somebody's yard and take it. But generally, people are more than happy to share. Also, right now, we're hoping that more garden shops will start carrying that type of plant. But the Wild Ones, which is an organization that works with, their primary interest are native plants. They have a plant sale in the spring, and so they're available there. The Friends of the Grand Prairie, which is down in the Champaign area, they have a sale also in the spring at the farmers market in Urbana. And then, I'd also, by all means, check online to look for seeds and different things. And if you can't find it, talk to the garden shop in your area. Tell them that you want them to carry it. And if enough people say, we want different kinds of milkweed to plant, they'll find it for you.
Occurs to me we have quite a paradox here, Mrs. Busby.
Yes.
Farmers spend a whole lot of money keeping weeds down.
Yeah.
We're talking about cultivating weeds.
Well, I always say my mom was one of the original pioneers of that way back when. In the 70s, we had milkweed growing in our yard, and everybody just thought she was crazy. But she just thought it was pretty. She wasn't doing it for any grand statement or although it helped the butterflies, she just thought it was pretty, so she just let it grow, even though all the neighbors thought she was crazy.
I have a butterfly question. Getting back to my dear old dad who said, don't let people think you're stupid, Jude. Open your mouth and prove it. Well, here I go.
Kenneth was a jewel.
Yeah, he was. Anyway, I had thought forever that the butterfly itself, after it had gone through its various stages and came to the beautiful monarch stage, lived only for 24 hours. Well, there's no way in 24 hours they're going to get clear down to Central America.
No. They live quite a bit longer than that. There are some types of moths, possibly butterflies also, but there are certain kinds of moths that will only live, a week to 10 days and don't even eat or drink anything in their adult state. But, butterflies, they'll tend to live longer, and it takes several generations for the monarchs to get from the north to the south and then back up again. Oh. So that makes the migration just even more amazing, that their offspring and their offspring are basically carrying on this migration.
Judith K., this is a very esoteric level of conversation I'm hearing here. I have to pause for a few minutes, ponder over this conundrum. So we're going to take a few minutes here for a commercial break. Then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about milkweed, butterflies, and sex and nature. Right ahead.